Help us do that. We've got Florence Villeneuve with us on the set. Hi, Flo. A lot of the papers are focusing on the elections in India, dubbed the biggest election ever, that started yesterday.
That's right. It's on the front page of the Hindustan Times that talks about target 543. That's the number of seats in the lower house of parliament that candidates are battling for. And you can see here this epic chase begins. Now, a lot of the international papers are focusing on this as well. It's on the front page of The Independent. Talks about the biggest election in history. Over 800 million people are registered to vote in this election over the next 5 weeks. Now, The Guardian focuses on one group that's going to play a key role in these elections, and that is young people in India. More than half the population is under 24 years old, and there are some 120 million first-time voters. So they're really key in the outcome of this election. And you can see the headline here. It says that this young generation really holds the future in their hand.
Now, that election in India comes hot on the heels of another closely watched vote in Afghanistan.
That's right. A lot of papers are focusing on this. 7 million Afghans risk their lives to go and vote. That's in an article in the Daily Beast today. It points out that despite the threat of the Taliban, about 58% of Afghans went to the ballot box on Saturday. That's about the same turnout as during the U.S. presidential election in November 2012. So this is a very interesting article that asks the question, would you risk your life to go and vote? And it points out that in the U.S., voter turnout is actually dropping, and a lot of people wonder, is there any use in going to vote? And this article says it really says a lot about our democracy.
Well, speaking of votes, there's a confidence vote here in the French Parliament today. That's with the new Prime Minister Manuel Valls, who will be giving a very important speech just ahead of that vote.
That's right. A lot of the French media is focused on that he's going to be giving his very first major policy speech before that confidence vote. Libération, the left-leaning paper, doesn't focus on what he's going to say in the speech. It focuses on what he's not going to say. And according to them, there's a lot of details about the government's austerity policies that he's not going to address. Now, a lot of papers are focused on this confidence vote and says that, well, you know, the left has the majority in the lower house of parliament, so there's likely he's going to win this confidence vote. But a lot of papers are pointing out that he really has to rally the left around him. This is the front page of 20 Minutes. It's a question of confidence because the left is very divided over Manuel Valls. A lot of people within the left think he's a little bit too much to the right for their liking. So 20 Minutes says he has to be very careful not to ruffle any feathers during this speech. But let's take a look at how the right-leaning press is focusing on this. Le Figaro says that this is his moment of truth today, and they have 3 words of advice for Manuel Valls. The most important one being that he must not dilute his convictions to please a certain wing of the Socialist Party during that speech today.
All right, let's move on now to the focus that's been on France's absence from the 20th anniversary commemoration ceremony of the genocide in Rwanda.
That's right. La Croix points out that relations between France and Rwanda are at an all-time low. The French ambassador to Rwanda was barred from attending those events yesterday. And according to this article, the Rwandan president, Paul Kagame, once again attacked France during his speech. Once again, he accuses France. Now, a lot of countries in the international community have been drawing a lot of criticism for not failing to act during that genocide. Let's take a look at a cartoon in the International New York Times by Chapat. It takes a jab at the UN, and you can see someone addressing a very empty General Assembly there saying, in memory of our role during the Rwandan genocide, we won't do anything.
All right, on a much lighter note and staying with the International New York Times, let's take a look at former U.S. President George W. Bush, who's found something interesting to do in his retirement.
That's right. It's no secret that he's an avid painter, but he's actually currently showing off his paintings at the Presidential Center in Dallas. It's an exhibit called The Art of Leadership, a President's Personal Diplomacy. You can see one of his paintings there in the center. That's a portrait of Hamid Karzai. This is actually a real art review in the International New York Times today because it points out that everyone is kind of freaking out about this. And it says people need to get a grip, especially those in the art world who dismiss the paintings without even seeing them. So this is a very real review that talks about Bush's unsettling talent. He is something of a natural when it comes to making oil paintings. A decent amateur.
A decent amateur. Thank you so much, Florence Villeneuve, for that look at the press today. And thanks to you for watching France 24. Time now for sports.